Welcome, race fans, to Birmingham, Alabama, home to Barber Motorsports Park for the 5th round of the Sheboygan IndyCar Series. Today's race is 90 laps around this 2.38-mile road course. Last year's race was won by Hannah Sheldon, who is currently in 20th place in the point standings. Speaking of the championship, here is what the top looks like. Currently leading is Myro, who won 2 races ago at Long Beach. And then in second, only 1 point back, is Paul Braganza, who has had 3 top 5s through the first 4 races, including a 3rd place last week at Texas. In third, we have a tie currently between Brad and Samantha Keel, who each have 1 win on the season so far. There has been a lot of discussion throughout the paddock after last week's race at Texas, where there was a ton of carnage and it really shook up the point standings. Will we see the drivers be more cautious throughout today's race? Barber is a very twisty road course with a lot of elevation changes, and it's going to be important for the drivers to have as much clean air as possible to save their tires from sliding too much by having more downforce on their front wing. Now we will set the grid and get this race underway. For qualifying this weekend, we're going to follow last year's race winner Hannah Sheldon as she goes through to take the green flag for her first flying lap. We will ride on board for the first lap. Hard braking at the 1 marker. Oh, big slide there going through 1. Long duration right-hander going downhill. You want to carry as much speed as possible so that when you come up over this crest, flat out, down to the hairpin. Great passing opportunity here. Hard braking into the hairpin. It's kind of like a double apex, maybe even like a triple apex, as you see there. It's a short straightaway here up to the corkscrew. Braking while turning. Take a bunch of curb. And hug that right hand apex as much as you can. Flat out here. Soft braking through the S's here. Want to carry as much speed. Car gets really light, as you see it's kind of step out there from Hannah's hands. And then it's braking uphill, right-hander, and then a quick left-hander to finish the lap. That'll put Hannah at 20th, which, funny enough, is where she sits in the point standings so far. Current fast time at a 109.49 is Steven Cheesin. Hannah coming to the line on her second lap, jumps up to 4th. So very quick lap from Hannah, but it looks like last year's championship winner Thomas Keel is going to take the pole with a 108.972. The drivers are going to fire up their engines, and we are going to get rolling here for the pace lap. And while this pace lap goes, we are going to take you through the top 10 after qualifying. On pole with a 108.972, we have last year's championship winner Thomas Keel. Qualifying second is Andrew Williamson. Third is Hunter Keel in the PPG car. Fourth, as we went on board with during that qualifying session, is Hannah Sheldon in the 711 car. Fifth is Kyle in the Overwatch Blizzard car. 6th is Samantha in the Air Canada number 45 car. 7th is Fred Green in that blue and dark blue Freightliner car, number 62. 8th is Wanda in this sort of rainbow pattern car. It doesn't really have a sponsor, but rocking it in the 19 car. 9th is Melissa in that white and green Team Cool Green car. And then 10th is Jill Sandvin in that silver Verizon car. She is driving the number 28 car. We are all set and ready to go racing here as the pace car is about to pull off, and Thomas Keel is going to lead the field to the green. And it sounds like Thomas is already on it. The field looks pretty orderly. And we are green here at Alabama. Oh, and Andrew takes the lead right off the bat as we are side by side through the rest of the field. Andrew takes the lead and has already opened up to a second gap. Hannah and Hunter are side by side going down to the hairpin. Into the hairpin. Looks like Hunter's going to have it. So Hunter does hold off Hannah. Up front is Andrew Williamson. Andrew took the lead from Thomas on that first turn of the opening lap there. Back here we have Fred looking to get around Jill. Right behind us, Melissa. If she gets a good run, she's on those softer tires. You got to run both compounds during the race. Like I talked about at the beginning of the broadcast, you need to have clean air, and look at that. Andrew, after the first lap, has pulled out a second gap. Back here, we've got Robert trying to go around Taylor. This is for 26th place. They're still side by side, heading down to the hairpin. Wow, there's really, I can't believe they're still side by side there. They've been side by side half the lap. Can't go side by side here though. Oh, a little bit of contact there between Robert's right front tire and Taylor's left rear tire. I don't know, not know how they went through the corkscrew side by side. Big slide from Taylor, and she goes around. Keeps it clean, and she will get rolling. I don't think there was any contact there. We'll give the cheater cam. No, it doesn't look like, it just looks like Taylor lost it. But she gets it going, so she falls 4 spots down to the tail end of the field. Up front, Andrew now has a 1.8 second gap on Thomas. Now it's up to 2 seconds. And it's very weird here. Maybe this is a primary black compound tire race because Thomas is on those softer red tires, which should be faster. You have to run one of each tire. But you can see the rest of the field is starting to stack up behind Thomas, while Hunter kind of just scoots away. Or well, Andrew scoots away. Hunter is in that blue and white PPG car right behind Thomas. We'll go on Thomas's rear wing here, and you can see the whole field right behind him. Where in contrast, you go on the back of Andrew's car, and you see this 2.7 second gap that's increasing is very noticeable. Ooh. We have Steven Cheesin under threat from his brother, Crass Nasty. And here's Brad putting some pressure on Melissa. Melissa's also on those softer red tires, so maybe this is a harder black compound race. Very interesting. Normally that's not the case here at Barber Motorsports Park. There's so many high grip turns or high speed turns that you want that extra grip from your tire. As we see Crass on the inside of Steven through the hairpin. They're going to run down to the corkscrew here. And here they come into the corkscrew side by side. They're going to stay side by side. And Crass is going to get around him right before the S's here. Up ahead, we have Melissa defending from Brad. Brad trying to shove it in with... Now Alexis is going around the outside. That in that pink Barbie car, that number 14 is Alexis Schrader. She's trying to take the advantage of Brad getting held up. It looks like she's going to have the preferred line coming down here to turn 1. Now heading through turn 2, Brad's going to have the preferred line and hold on to it, but Alexis might carry some more speed down into the hairpin here. Will she dive up the inside? She will. Is there going to be contact? It looked like there was going to be contact, but Brad gave her enough room, and Brad will hold on to that position. Up front, Andrew now has a 4.7 second lead. Hunter really needs to get by Thomas here and try and track down Andrew, because Andrew is just sort of walking away with it right now. But Thomas's goal is to just hang on with these red tires. The longer that he can hang on to these red tires, the better. Oh! And Hunter throws around the outside of 1. Will he stick it for 2? He does. Just as I said he needed to get by him, Hunter does get by Thomas. Now Hunter needs to put his head down and just focus forward. Ooh, you don't want to defend there. You need to just keep... We know that Thomas doesn't have the speed on these softer red tires, so you don't need to defend. Just put your head down and get to work. Likewise, it's now up to Hannah to get by Thomas and do the same. Here's Robert throwing it into the corkscrew, trying to get around Paul Berganza. Paul's second in the championship right now, and that Haviline Texaco car. Robert rocking the Taco Bell car. Fred thought about throwing it in there on the inside of Jill going into 1, but thought better of it. Fred is currently 9th in the championship, so he's thinking big picture here. As we see Wanda up ahead, throwing a defensive line. Into the hairpin, we got the brothers going at it again. Crass and Steven still fighting. This is Steven trying to get back around Crass for that position. Into the hairpin, it looks like Steven's going to have it. This is for 14th position. And now Steven carrying that speed. He's looking to put some pressure onto Zach up ahead. Zach defends. Going up over the crest. Looks like Crass carried a bunch of speed with that line that Steven took, compromising his speed. Up ahead, Hunter has taken about 2 seconds out of that lead that Andrew has by pulling away from Thomas. Thomas fighting real hard. Nice voice crack. Thomas fighting real hard to hold on to position and just hang on to these tires. As we have the brothers going at it again. The 3rd time in 9 laps, the brothers are going at it. Steven and Crass are scrapping. Ooh, a little bit of contact there, it looked like. Pushing Steven up over the curb a little. And this time, Crass is the one that gets it. Up ahead, we got Alexis trying to get around Brad. Tough to do there on the outside. Maybe just trying to set up some more speed. Don't really like that line compromising your speed into the front stretch. As we see Wanda up ahead, defending from Jill. But Jill can't really attack Wanda because she has Fred Green all over her gearbox. Back here, we got Tim Pagolo fighting with Paul Braganza. Paul does get around Tim. We'll see if he can fight back heading down to the hairpin. It's a close three-way battle between that Texaco car of Paul, Tim Pagolo in the Marlboro car, and then Robert Leeson behind him in that Taco Bell car, that purple and white Taco Bell car. Todd putting some pressure on Michelle. As now Jill is getting by Wanda. Wanda was trying to hang on with those alternate tires, but was kind of the saving grace of it was that Jill had that pressure from Fred. And now Wanda's going to feel that pressure. Can she hang on? Crass got by Zach, who was on those softer red tires. Everyone on those softer red tires is struggling. As we see Hannah trying to size up Thomas as Samantha gets around on Hannah now. Will she have anything to do with it? No. This long right-hander, you can't really pass on the outside there. But we see on the inside, now, that opened the door for Kyle, who's going to maybe get around on the front stretch, switches back, decides against it. That's what can happen if you fail trying to get that run, as we see Fred getting around Wanda. If you fail setting up a run to pass someone, it leaves the door wide open with your lack of speed, as we see a big battle here between Brad, Melissa, and Alexis and Crass. Hannah's still not able to get by Thomas. As Samantha, trying to throw it on the inside of Hannah, might have the speed this time to get it done. Hanging tough on the outside there, not able to do it. Will this leave the door open for Kyle? Heading down into one. Did Kyle carry more speed? We see Thomas defending the inside. Hannah not able to do anything. It looks like Hannah's trying to set up a big run down this backstretch here. She does have a bunch of speed. Thomas defends the inside. Hannah's really got to get to that inside before Thomas can defend it. Heading down into the corkscrew. Hannah alongside. Is she able to make it work? Yes, Hannah does make a stick, cuts him off right before going through the S's. Samantha trying to follow Hannah through. She does. Will Kyle be able to follow as well? It does not appear so. The brothers are fighting yet again. Samantha's already pulled out a second, and Hannah has pulled out 1.7 seconds on Thomas. Man, everyone on these alternate red tires are really struggling. Taylor, after that early spin, has caught the back of the field again, but she is on those softer tires. So she's not really able to work her way through if she was on the harder black primary tire. Crass needs to get by and throws it up the outside there, around the outside. We'll have the inside line for this long right-hander and gets around Melissa. I was about to say Crass really needs to get around him because he's lost 1.3 seconds to Steven up ahead, being stuck behind Samantha. Kyle is going to get around Thomas, and Fred is still trying to work on Jill. We'll see if anything can happen down here at the hairpin. Fred throws it up the inside. And will he make the position stick? It looks like it. Jill's still there. The door's still open. Heading down to the corkscrew. But Fred does lock that position down. Book it. Fred now working on Thomas. Thomas is the lead car here on the red tire, and you can see on the left side of your screen which tire compound each driver is on. So it is important for Thomas to hang on to this position as long as he can. As we have Steven Cheesin trying to get around Alexis, who is being held up by Wanda. Wanda on those softer red tires has bunched it up. You see Crass right behind Steven. He was 1.3 seconds back. a lap or two ago, but being behind Wanda has bunched everybody up. Fred throws it on the outside into the corkscrew. Will he make it stick? Thomas does have the inside line. Fred will make it stick. Hunter has not been able to track down Andrew up front. Dropped it down to a 6-second gap, but has kind of hovered there ever since that point. Fastest lap of the race is Andrew with a 109.872. He's the only driver to go sub 110. Oh, we have Brad tossing up the inside. Jill fighting back, going down to the corkscrew. Ooh, Brad takes a ton of curb there. Almost some contact with Thomas. But he will clear Thomas. As the brothers are fighting through the corkscrew. Ooh, almost some contact there. Tight racing. As Alexis is still struggling to get by Wanda. We'll check in with our championship leader, Myro, who is back in 19th. Started 23rd. Up 4 positions. Our biggest mover so far is Paul Braganza up in 24th, who started in 30th in last place. Our biggest loser so far is Thomas, who is down from starting on pole, is down in 8th. Jill tossing around the outside. Will she be able to make a stick? No, it does not appear so. She backs out of it. As Alexis is threatening Wanda. And we have our first couple come into the pits. It's everyone that's on the red tire. They're all people on red tires. You see on the left side of your screen, everybody that has the name Pit next to them are all in the pit. As Crass and Wanda are going side by side, will Steven try to follow him through in that black Baja Blast car? Wanda on the inside. This might give Steven a chance to switch back. He does not choose to do so. He will follow Crass through, maybe? Thinks about it. Unable to get it done going into the corkscrew. As Jill gets by Thomas. Thomas has got to come soon. He's bleeding so much time. First car that has pit is Maggie. She is currently a lap down after pitting. The car in front of her is Andrew, you see up ahead there. He still needs to pit. Myro and Todd have come pit now, as well as Moto. I do not understand why Thomas has not pit yet, if he's really trying to stretch it. Unless Thomas is trying to make this a 2-stop race and cut a stop, Thomas might just be trying to save fuel. But we will see, I guess, as Steven is trying to get around Wanda. We saw just before Kras get around Wanda and has already pulled out a 2.7 second lead. Devin gets around Myro. Now remember, everyone has to run both compounds of tire. As Kras, or as Steven and Wanda are going at it, Steven fairly easily takes that position through turn 1 there. But the black tire is definitely the tire to be on. It would have been beneficial if at the start of the race, that spin that Taylor had, as we see Alexis now getting around Thomas. If that spin that Taylor had brought out a caution, that would have allowed everyone on those softer tires to come pit and get off of them. We'll see if Thomas comes this time by. That would benefit Kras, who's right behind him. Yep. Thomas pulls off, goes into the pits. Lost so much time from starting on pole, but we will see what he can do on the harder black tire. Maggie is chasing down Andrew, trying to and Andrew does pit. Andrew pits. Maggie was trying to get back on the lead lap, but we do have the first 2 pit. Will Hannah come? Such a big gap that the top 2 pull up with everyone spreading out after getting by Thomas and just clocking quick laps. Hannah pits on lap 23, so it does not appear that a 3-stopper is the strategy. So I don't know why Thomas stayed on the red tires for so long. Maggie getting by John and Jill. Jill on her outlap. And Andrew's out of the pits. Andrew with sort of a slow stop at 10.4. Fastest pit stop that time goes to the number 38 players team. That's Ken. Ken's down in 21st, looking to get around Zach. Your current leader, who has not pit, is Samantha Keel. Started 6th, as she now comes to pit, as well as Kyle. Fred's going to as well. I'm assuming everybody else will now, after going 23 laps. Which hands the lead back to Andrew. And we will see what the gap is. Lots of cars coming to pit this time. Wow, the gap is 10.4 seconds. So through that in-lap and that out-lap, Andrew gained another 4 seconds on the lead. Thomas is back in 17th. Oh, going through the pit, past people in the pits. Thomas is in 13th, so he dropped 12 positions off the start. As we see a battle up ahead of him, as now he's in battling with Devin as they're going down to the hairpin. Devin throws it up the inside. Alexis loses 3 spots coming out of the pits there on those cold red tires. They are not up to temperature yet. She lost a position to Devin, Melissa, and Thomas. Steven in that black Baja Blast car just pit as well, putting on those red tires. Zach has been out for 5 laps on these blacks, so they are up to temp. As Devin is feeling the pressure from Melissa. Thomas now trying to use that advantage of Melissa kind of stalling out on that run. Thomas goes wide through the second to last corner. We will see. Melissa not able to do anything into 1. We will see how we're going down to the hairpin. Devin defends, and it doesn't look like Melissa has anything. Will she switch back? No. Thomas tries to. Seems like Thomas got a bit of a better exit out of the corner, but he's not able to do anything with it going to the corkscrew. Settling in for the most part, which is allowing Alexis, with all this fighting, to kind of just hang onto the back and use the draft to make some speed that she's losing for being on those red tires. So this is really benefiting Alexis in that pink Barbie car. As we see Thomas trying to get around Melissa through turn 1 and turn 2, not able to do it, carries the speed up the hill. He will have the preferred line going down to the corkscrew, or the hairpin. Into the hairpin, Thomas does have the inside, and he will make it stick. Alexis trying to follow her through, not able to. And now Crass has joined into this battle. Ooh, big slide there from Alexis. Going through the S's. Almost opened the door up for Crass. If Crass was on those harder black tires instead of the softer red ones, maybe Crass could have done something. Maybe as the track rubbers in, those softer red tires will get better. Alexis darts out there just to kind of throw herself out into Melissa's mirror just to threaten it. Try to make Melissa make a mistake. As Alexis is setting up a big run down the backstretch here. Alexis looking very sporty on these softer red tires when no one else through that first stint was really looking good. Your first car on the harder black tire is Maggie, who's up 10 spots through that pit cycle. I do not know how that happened, but Maggie's up 10 spots. So, great start to the day for Maggie. Alexis is all over the gearbox of Melissa. Melissa super defending to the inside. That's going to compromise her line going into 2. Alexis and Crass behind her, not able to do anything. Once again, trying to set up a run. Not really able to do so. It just allowed Melissa to scoot out a bit. Wanda looking to put some pressure onto Crass. Steven Cheesin has lashed onto the back of this group, so now we have 5 or 6 cars, almost 7 with Ken, in this battle for 13th through 19th. Back in the field, behind everyone behind Todd is all bunched up. Todd and Paul are holding up the back half of the field by being on those red tires. Closest battle up ahead is Devin catching up to Jill. Jill is on those softer tires, so she's at a disadvantage. After that spin, Taylor has gained a position. Oh, maybe not. She's fighting real hard. Up ahead, we see Todd defending from Paul. Paul and Todd both on those softer red tires, holding up the back half of the field. Devin and Thomas have caught up to the back of Jill. And are looking to get around her and catch up with the rest of the field, as there is a 4.5 second gap that is growing between Jill in 10th and then John up in 9th. Maggie is slowly chipping away at the gap to Brad ahead of her. Maggie is on those black tires trying to make hay as Devin gets around Jill while we cut away, and Thomas is looking to follow through. Almost puts his end fence into Jill's front right tire. That would have been a disaster. Thomas really needs to get by her here, but she does have the inside line. Melissa looks like she wants to follow Jill on the inside. Melissa's not able to follow through, and Thomas isn't able to make that work. But he does have a run. They will go side by side into the corkscrew. Thomas has the inside line. Gives her enough room. But Jill will have the preferred line going into the S's. Will Melissa, behind in that green and white car, be able to do something with it? No, they went side by side through the S's. Up and over the crest, still side by side. Thomas really needs to get by, but Thomas will maintain that inside through this long right-hander. How is Jill hanging on? I do not understand, but Thomas will get that position. As Jill follows. Nope. Melissa trying to follow Thomas through. Back here, Zach on the inside of Wanda. That'll head down to the hairpin. Side by side. Not able to make it work. Melissa on Jill's right rear. Not quite as alongside as Thomas was, but Melissa definitely gets a better run out of the corner there. Will she clear Jill going into the S's? She does. Back here is a three-way battle for 15th between Alexis, Wanda, and Zach. Maggie has caught up to Brad. In the past 3 laps, she cut a lap down. Maggie did have the fastest lap last time by at a 1:11.83, where everyone in front of the Reds were doing 1:13s. So 2 seconds faster that lap. So Maggie needs to make quick work and get these passes done to catch the rest of the field. And it looks like she's going to do it there. Will she go side by side through the S's, or will she clear Brad? Will go side by side, but she does have the inside there for the second right-hander and will clear. Zach getting by Wanda for 16th position. Ken has latched onto this battle, so now it's a 4-car battle for 15th. Myro has pit, and Todd is out. Oh, no, he's on his outlap. My bad. But Todd Keel has made his second pit stop. Along with your points leader, Myro. Myro not able, only does about 15 laps on those soft tires. So some drivers are really struggling on those soft tires, as John has caught up to the back of Brad now. Trying to do what Maggie did and make quick work of Brad. Not able to do it right there. And Maggie is tracking down. Her next target is Fred Green. You see it. She sees him a straightaway ahead. She just needs to put her head down and keep working. Wanda looking to get back that position around Zach. As John, going through 2, will get that position from Brad. Zach threatening on the inside of Alexis there. Not able to do anything with it. Trying to pressure Alexis into making a mistake. Back here, Paul is holding up the field on those softer red tires as we see Tim Pagelo as well as Cole make passes on the inside going into the hairpin. Tim is working on Darren there. Darren will have the inside line going into the corkscrew. They go 2x2 through the corkscrew and both hang tough. So now they will go side by side through the S's here. And both Tim and Cole will come out of that scenario victorious. That was for 23rd and 25th, the battle was. Ken trying to get around Wanda. These three still have not been able to get around Alexis. Alexis is really doing well on those softer red tires. I would expect Alexis to stay out as long as she can. Devin has now caught Brad. And is trying to follow what Maggie and John did. Zach got a decent run through the S's, not able to do anything with it to pressure Alexis. Devin threatening Brad going into one. We'll go back to that battle with Zach, Alexis, Wanda, and Ken. See if anybody's able to do anything going into one. Ken pops on the outside. Ken goes to the inside. Zach goes to the outside. Wanda is going to hold tough, but Zach will get around Alexis. Going down to the hairpin. No one able to make any moves. Maggie has caught up to Fred. Ooh, very bold there. But Maggie seems to be getting a little desperate and makes that pass work. That was very dangerous as Devin is all over the back of Brad. Devin throwing it around the outside. We'll have the inside line through two. Will make it work. Now the question is, will Thomas get a run on Brad? Ooh, it looks like he had to check up a bit to avoid running into the back of Brad. Did not time that run very well. As now Wanda and Ken are trying to get around Alexis. Ken going around Wanda. Wanda is losing spots to other cars on harder black tires, so Wanda is struggling. Oh! Ken into the back of Alexis. Into the hairpin. Ken misjudges his braking point, loses half of his front wing. Doesn't look like Alexis has any damage to her car. How will that affect the handling? Wanda needs to get by Ken. Because Ken's going to have a big lack of downforce. Ken has been out for 20 laps. It looks like he's going to try and thug it out for the rest of the stint. He only has a couple more laps that he have to go. He can realistically pit now. As speaking of which, the next car to pit is Tim Pagolo. But Wanda throwing around the outside. Oh, man. Ken just threw it in too far into the corkscrew there. And is now struggling. So he is going to chew up those tires because he's relying so much on grip from the tire and not from the downforce of his front wing. Replacing that front wing is going to be another 5 seconds in the pits. As Melissa has caught up to Thomas that has been struggling to get by Brad. So maybe Melissa can find an opportunity to get by the both of them. As Wanda is still struggling to get by. This has allowed Michelle to catch up. Alexis is loving this because she's being able to hold her track position. As Wanda throws it up the inside into one. Looks like Michelle is going to go around the outside, see if she can carry more speed. No, a little too wide. Back up. Thomas got by Brad. And now Melissa's throwing it into the corkscrew. A little bit of contact, but both stay straight. Michelle did get by Ken, so Ken is struggling. Ken is struggling very much so with only half of that front wing, losing a ton of downforce. Downforce is key to saving your tires. Now Wanda has gotten by Ken and can focus on Alexis. Maggie has almost caught up to Kyle. She's chewing away at each of these drivers that are on the softer tire. She was again 2 seconds a lap faster. So Maggie making up a ton of ground. Up 12 spots so far. As Wanda got around Zach, or got around Alexis there through turn 1. Looks like Michelle has a decent run. Not able to do anything with it this time, though. As Maggie and John pit after 23 laps. So they do a full stint on the blacks. I'm assuming Maggie and John will go back to blacks. As Andrew is working through lap traffic. Robert is true last car down. Myro has pit. Andrew has not, so that's why Andrew is ahead of Myro. But pit cycles are underway. As Andrew has pit now. I'm assuming Hunter will copy him and come this time by as well. No, he wants that. Hunter does have some clear in front of him. We'll go on board and you can see he's got nobody ahead of him, so maybe he can put together a quick lap. As Hunter did lead that lap, so that's an extra bonus point for him. I'm not sure if he led during that other pit cycle. As Maggie and Wanda are going at it, Maggie on her out lap. Maggie really needed to stay ahead, but it's not too big of a deal because Wanda does need to pit. But Maggie would have loved to have that clean air. Maybe Maggie will get lucky and Wanda will pit this time. No. Zach is now working on Jill. Zach with that more grip on the harder black tire is going to get around Jill. With those red tires, those reds are probably dead as hell. Jill has been out there for 22 laps on those red tires, so she has put some work into them. Your provisional leader is Andrew, who has pit. All the cars in front of him have not pit. We will see when Hunter pits. We will try and get a... I always forget, but I'll see how long you lose in pit lane. I'm assuming Hunter will come this time by. He has been out for 22 laps. Wanda and Maggie going at it. So your leader, Hunter, has picked. Big battle here. Going into the corkscrew. Wanda losing 2 spots in those last 2 corners to Maggie and John. So Maggie and John are having a good day. They're on a charge. As your leader, Andrew, is going to come by pit lane and resume having the lead. Where is Hunter? Here is Hunter coming out of the pits now. Looks like Hunter is 14, so you lose 32 seconds on pit lane, basically. Maybe 33, because he's getting his tires up to temperature. We have a battle for third. Hannah on her outlap, trying to get those tires up to temp. As John gets through the corkscrew, Maggie's gonna try and follow him through. Unable to do so, as Fred is working on Melissa. We saw a big slide there from Melissa going into the corkscrew. But back up, Maggie. Oh, big slide! Hannah hanging onto that. That was crazy. Big save from Hannah. Michelle trying to get around Wanda. This is for 19th. Your only car on red tires is Tim Pagolo, who must have ran black. No, he already ran reds. Why is Tim on reds? He is the only car on the red tire, and we have seen consistently throughout the day today that the red tire is not the preferred tire to be on. Terrible strategy call from the number 31 stand. And now that her tires are up to temperature, are putting some threat onto John. Brad trying to get around Todd here. Going through one, does indeed do so. We still have that battle for third. Hannah trying to come back on John. Going into the corkscrew. That's some contact right there. Hannah now has the preferred line going on the outside of the corkscrew. Another big slide going through the S's. As back behind, now we have a really tight battle here. John, Maggie, and Samantha are going side by side. Up over the crest. Samantha does get by Maggie. Kyle's going to try and follow her through. Does indeed do so. And now Samantha's trying to put some pressure onto John. Samantha will get by John going through turn 2. As John is starting to slide back a little bit. John's tires are only 3 laps older than the rest of the cars around him, apart from Maggie. Maggie also pitted on lap 41. It might be that John and Maggie put a little too much air in their tire with an air pressure adjustment, and they came up to that optimum level too quick, and now they have too much air pressure, so they need to take care of their tires and let them cool down a bit, try and get them that better operating range. Kyle is slowly catching up to John. Your pole sitter, Thomas, is 34 seconds back. Through those first 2 cycles, as we got a battle. John and Kyle are going at it. Kyle trying to get around him. Kyle's been working at it a while. Of course, as soon as I cut away, he gets through. As now Maggie's going to have an opportunity, as well as Devin. I was saying that Thomas has lost 34 seconds through those first 2 pit cycles to Andrew. Andrew is working through lap traffic currently. He just put Darren a lap down not too long ago. Actually, it was a little bit ago. My bad. As Steven Cheesin and Cole are going at it. And it looks like Alexis wants to follow Cole through, or follow Steven through. Isn't able to do so. Samantha and Kyle have gotten by John and have just kind of rolled away. Kyle is just up ahead, but if we go on board with Kyle, you'll see Samantha is all the way down that straightaway. Back here, Tim Pagelo is trying to save that terrible decision. I do not know how he didn't fight his team more, but they went with the softer red tires, which is bluntly a boneheaded move. Do not know why you would go with those softer tires when we saw that they were 2 seconds a lap slower. Absolute baffle. Samantha is slowly catching up to Hannah. Hannah and Samantha last year finished 1-2 at this race. They're currently 3-4. Devin is still trying to... Oh, Devin has caught up to Maggie. He's trying to get around her. As your championship leader pits, Myro pits from from 12th place. Before pitting, Myro was up 11 spots, started 23rd up to 12th, so productive day so far. Maggie and John must have just went the wrong way on the setup change during that pit cycle, because gosh darn, they are struggling, whereas Devin, who's also on that same strategy, pit on that same lap, is seeming fine. We got 2 cars that are off like sequence. One of which is Todd in 13th, who pit 22 laps ago. So should be coming next time by. And Myro, who just pit. Closest battle on track right now is Devin and Maggie at just under half a second apart. As we see, Tim Pagelo has come to pit now. Tim's got to be absolutely furious. Do not know why his team would go to reds. I still have no clue. You can see on the left side of your screen, they're the only car on reds. They already fulfilled their quota. Tim was in the first stint was on reds. I don't know if they just forgot or what happened, but no clue what they were doing. Tim has one more pit stop to make, as Todd also pits now and will have another pit stop to make. Let's see. 35 to go. 34. 10. I don't know. It's gonna be... I do not know if Andrew's gonna be able to make it. Andrew might have to save some fuel. $15. 8. I'll put it at 26. Yeah, Andrew can't make it. I don't know if anybody can make it. Let's see. Going through the field, it looks like there's a couple cars that might stretch it. Jill, Crass, Wanda, Steven, or Paul. Anybody that pit on lap 44 that you see on the side of your screen, I think are maybe can make it. But we will see. Andrew does have a 14-second gap, so he can save fuel if he wants and burn a lot of that up. He can do a lot of coasting. Closest battle on track is Thomas from Thomas back to Fred, or up to Fred, at 0.6 seconds. Thomas has clawed back 2 more spots, but gotta be disappointed after starting on pole, setting 35 seconds back, down in 10th place. We will quickly go through the field. Your current leader is Andrew Williamson in the number 4 car. He is currently trying to put Myro a lap down. And he will through the S's there. So your current leader is Andrew. Started second up to first. Took the lead going into turn 1 on the opening lap and has not looked back since. Has a 13-second gap currently. Don't know if he'll be able to make it on fuel. It's going to be very tight for a lot of drivers. In second, in the number 2 PPG car, is Hunter Keel. Hunter's had a quiet day. Struggled to get around Thomas in that opening stint with Thomas on the reds and allowed Andrew to really get away. Seems to be just as fast as Andrew, but nothing he can really do. Just trying his best to click off quick laps. In third, in the number 66 711 car, we have Hannah Sheldon, who kind of same thing as everybody else, had trouble getting around Thomas, and that just kind of opened up a gap. You see just behind her is Samantha. Samantha finished runner-up last year here at Barber and is looking to get onto the podium once again. Fifth is Kyle. He's in that 24 Overwatch car. Again, quiet day, kind of just been up in the top 10, top 5 all day. Just sort of battling, trying to do his own thing, stay out of trouble. Currently in the championship, Kyle is down in 17th, so he's looking to score some big points today. And in being 46 or 45 points back, looking to work his way back up in the championship. In 6th, we have John. John was looking real strong, working through the field while in that second stint, while being on primaries, while the rest of the field was on the alternates. along with Maggie, who is in 7th. They both were working through the field, but now that everyone's back on primaries, it's showing that they just don't have that pace, but they're working towards the top 5. In 8th, we have Devin Brown, and in 9th, we have Fred Green. They've just been kind of chilling together all day, trying to stay out of trouble their best they can. And then in 10th is your pole sitter, Thomas, who has been really struggled, lost a ton of time on those red tires, and just really hasn't been able to gain it back since then. Back up front, Andrew, the gap is down to 12.5 seconds back to Hunter, but Andrew's probably managing that, trying to save some fuel. So I don't think he's that worried about the gap, to be honest. After last week's race at Texas, it does seem that the drivers are trying to stay a little bit more head on their shoulders, cool about it. We did see them pushing, especially through the S's there. In the S's and out of the corkscrew, there's been a lot of drivers, especially Hannah here, in this green and white car, has been getting sideways through there. It does seem to be doing a bit better now that the track's a bit more rubbered in. But when the track was green, there was a lot of cars sliding. We saw Taylor loop it around there in the beginning of the race. Closest battle on track right now is for 25th position. Todd and Darren are both a lap down. Todd in this white and red Thunderbirds Air Force car, and Darren ahead of him in that black Winans landscaping car. We are getting close to seeing if Andrew's going to be able to do it on one more stop. I don't believe so, but we will see how far these drivers can push it. It's going to make things very interesting. A lot of them are going to be a couple laps short. We will see how Andrew does when he comes out of the pits. He will come out of the pits roughly in like 10th or 11th, back with like Thomas, Melissa, Brad, around there. And there's a lot of traffic. A lot of traffic back here in this area, because I believe this is coming down to the corkscrew. So, yeah, you got Fred, Thomas, Melissa there, and then there's a decent gap back to Brad. So if he comes out just in front of Brad, he might get lucky. But it looks like he'd come out just in front of Thomas here. As we have our first taker, John pits. John, Maggie, and Devin all pit. They pitted one lap before Andrew did. So unless they get a yellow, they cannot make it. They have to pit another time still. This might shake things up. These 4 cars will need to pit again. Ken is pitting. Ken, we saw earlier, have that contact and lose his front wing. And Andrew pits. Andrew won't be able to make it. That's 25 laps that he'll need to do. The farthest that we've seen is 23, so Andrew won't be able to make it unless he... unless he gets a yellow. We'll see where he comes out of the pits. He should come out roughly around where... near Thomas. As Hunter has gotten the lead. Andrew is coming out of the pits now. Thomas is coming down the front stretch. So he beats out Fred. As Melissa and Alexis are going at it, Alexis cuts off Melissa. This is back for 18th. Melissa on her outlap. Sandwiched in between 2 cars to pit on lap 44 and 42. Can they push it? Will Hunter come this time? No. He doesn't. Taylor comes to pit. Oh, they're really... Ooh, this is really pushing it. Fred hasn't pit and is right behind Andrew. But, who can make it? Who can cut out that last stop? Who's going to be 1 lap short? There's going to be drivers that are going to be 1 lap short, for sure. As Fred is putting the pressure on Andrew. Andrew on these fresh tires, but they just might not be up to that right operating temperature, whereas Fred is on 23 lap tires. Zach pits. Why did Brady go to Reds? Another boneheaded move from another driver. Hunter should be able to make it. Hunter's going to come to pit with 23 laps to go. He did 24 laps on that stint. He should be able to make it. Hannah comes to pit. Samantha, Kyle pit. So Andrew will take the lead back, but he will have another stop to be made. As Hunter comes out on his outlap with 23 to go, I don't believe Andrew's going to be able to make it. That's heartbreak for Andrew. Took the lead going into turn 1 on the opening lap. As we see Tim trying to get around Hunter. Not able to do so. Or just thinking better of it that Hunter is in second place. But in that, he gives up 29th to Taylor and is back in last. John will not be able to make it either, so tough day for John. He just needs to go as fast as he can, as hard as he can, and just see how much of a gap he can build, because he will lose 35 seconds on pit lane. Which will put him back in, like, 20th, if everybody else could make it. Melissa trying to get around Thomas. going around the outside, gives her the inside, and then the inside for this long right-hander, but it looks like Thomas is going to be able to clear her and cut her off. Thomas trying to salvage the day with a top 10 after an abysmal start on the opening lap on those reds, or just the opening stint on those reds. John up ahead, battling for that last podium spot, but Hannah needs to realize that she can let him go because he cannot make it. Hunter, Hannah, Samantha, Kyle, and then Fred are the top 5 that should be able to make it on fuel. Andrew, John, Maggie, and Devin and Melissa are in your top 11 of cars that cannot make it. Andrew has opened up the gap to 15 seconds. We will go on board with him and see him pushing as hard as he can. He's got to be furious in the car. Zach is looking to go around Todd here for 14th. Zach doesn't need to fight too hard, as once again, Todd will need to make another pit stop. He is off sequence, and will need to pit in another 5 or maybe 6 or 7 laps, maybe. As Samantha has caught up to John, and is looking to get around him, which is allowing Kyle to get into this fight. So this is now a 3-way battle for 4th. John has lost touch with Hannah up ahead. Samantha not able to do it into 1, looking to set up a run, going down into the hairpin. It looks like she does have a bit of a run. John will defend. Kyle looks to go on the inside, not able to do so. Backs out of it. Once again, a lot of these drivers are thinking championship. As Todd, Zach, and Jill are all fighting for 14th. Gotta think championship. We're still early in the season, third of a way through the season. Gotta think big picture if you want to win that championship. And the prize money that comes with it. Back up here in this battle for 4th. John, Samantha, and Kyle going at it in that order. John in that red Bucky's car. Samantha the black, red, and white Air Canada car. And Kyle in the black and white Overwatch car. John opening the door for Kyle as Samantha got through. I kind of zoned out and didn't even realize Samantha got by John. As Jill is right on the gearbox of Zach. As Jill goes up the inside, almost makes contact with Zach, but backs out of it. Jill might have got the position, but she also might have made contacts. That's why she backs out of it there. Wise decision. Samantha has started to scoot away from John opening up about a second gap. So now it's Kyle's turn to get to work. Closest battle we have on track is for 15th. That is Jill putting pressure onto Zach. But now we have Crass, who gets a better run out of the corkscrew and is now putting some pressure. Big slide there, though. Loses a bit of momentum through the S's. As up ahead, Hunter is slowly reeling in Andrew with 17 to go. Hunter did have the fastest lap last time through. Hunter did a 11.5 and Andrew did a 12.6. Andrew is in traffic. Brady's making his last stop after making that dumb call to go to the Reds. Do not know why he did that frickin' donut. We'll go back up with Andrew and see if he can work through this lap traffic, because he's slowly bleeding time to Hunter in second. There are 4 cars between Andrew and Hunter. But right now, Hunter does have some clear track. The gap is down to 9.4. Hunter cut out another half second that lap, but he's going to need to do a lot more to catch Andrew. But oh, I forgot. I don't think it's going to be tight. I don't even know if Hunter and Hannah and like the people that pit on lap 67, if they can make it. But it's going to be tight. I know Andrew cannot make it. Andrew cannot make it. So maybe it's best for Hunter just to chill and to save fuel, because there's no way Andrew's going to be able to save 2, maybe 3 laps of fuel. Myro, who is off strategy, has come to pit now. Him and Todd. Todd hit a lap later than Myro did. But both are off strategy. And it's not going to work out for them. Andrew is still stuck between Cheesin and Alexis. But Hunter really hasn't been able to close down that gap at all. Which might show that Hunter is just saving fuel to make it to the end. We will go on board with Hunter and see if he's saving fuel heading down to the corkscrew. I do not hear any lifting. Out of that 2 car, so he's just kind of big chilling. Tim Pagolo, I guess Tim is also on that off strategy, I guess, with the bad call on the Reds. So Tim will pit. Him and Brady really struggling. I don't know what their strategist was thinking going to Reds again when the rest of the field is on blacks. No way. Tim went to Reds again? But is the 31 team literally just throwing? What are they doing? Man, what is the 31 team doing? It's only an 8.5-second gap. As behind you see Alexis and Todd going at it for 22nd. But, geez, I do not understand what the 55 crew did last time. And with the 31, and now the 7 team. What are they doing? Why are they going to Reds? The Reds are so bad, and you can see Todd losing spot after spot on his outlap even, when the Reds should be good. At what point does Andrew decide to call it quits and come in? It's got to be for a splash. They're definitely running out of fuel and not burning their tires. So it's definitely going to be with 10 to go that time by. A splash and dash for a couple of cars. So, who is going to win this thing? Who will have enough fuel? I have no clue. Who knows? Maybe Robert Leeson will have another crash with 8 to go, and crash with 8 to go and be and bunch things up and make things interesting. This is your closest battle on track right now. This is for 24th position. Todd on those reds. I don't know why he's fighting, because in 3 laps they'll be dead and Myro will be easily able to get by him. You can see Todd even struggling now when it should be free. Being 3-lap-old reds should be cooking. Maggie is slowly catching up to Kyle here. She does have the draft on these long straights, but it just seems like she doesn't get a good enough run out of the corner to really utilize having that draft. She's just kind of chilling between like a half a second to a second back. She was 3/10 lap faster last time by. When Andrew crosses the line, we will have 7 to go. And I do not know if everyone or who's all gonna be able to make it. It'll be tight. Todd's still struggling to get by Myro. And still your closest battle on track for 24th position. As Darren cannot make it, Darren pits. Who will not be able to make it? Zach pits. Zach cannot make it. Zach was one of those cars that I thought might be able to make it, but he won't. Maybe no one can. Andrew taking the 5 to go. Taylor pits. Maggie cannot make it. Melissa cannot make it. Devin cannot make it. Will Andrew be able to stretch it? Will Andrew come this time? He does. Andrew cannot make it. Alright, things are getting interesting. Your leader will not be able to make it, and it will give Hunter the lead. John can't make it. John was on that same pit cycle as Andrew, so neither John nor Andrew can make it. They go 22 laps. Andrew coming out of the pits on the red tires. I do not like this call. A lot of the drivers on these, you can see on the left side of your screen, everybody that pit are going to the red tires. Yeah, it's only a couple laps, but I don't know if I'd take those. I think I'd take the harder blacks. Everyone's been stronger on the blacks all day. Hunter going through the S's. Heading through this downhill section. Hunter needs to just kind of save fuel. Even if that means being stuck behind these guys. Three to go that time by. Andrew is 21.5 seconds back. So if the top four pit, he will take back that lead. But I do not know who's going to be able to make it. Hunter's just kind of chilling back here behind Paul and who is that? Todd. Todd and Paul are sitting there battling for 20th. So you have Hunter there, and then 4.5 seconds back at the other end of the straightaway is Hannah. Hannah just took through that corner. Hannah just took out a second. Hunter did a 1:14. He's super trying to save fuel. Hannah did a 1:11.8. Hannah is going for the back-to-back. Gap's down to 3.5, 2 laps to go. Hannah is on it and cooking right now. You see here, Hunter's just kind of pedaling it behind these guys. Ken pit 4 laps ago, so he's going to be putting pressure on it. Gap's down to 3 seconds. Will Hunter be able to make it? He will. Hunter can make it. Will Hannah be able to make it? Hannah will. Gap's down to 2.5 seconds. The white flag is out. Hunter gets by Todd. Man, I wish Barney would have waved the flag there, but Hunter gets by Todd as well as Ken does. So gap's down to 2 seconds to Hannah. 1 lap to go. We're heading down to the hairpin. Ken's going to the inside of Hunter to get his lap back. So half a lap to go. Hannah has one car between her and the lead. Hunter trying to put as much pressure on Ken to put another car between them. 1.6 seconds is the gap. Might be a little too late for Hannah. As it looks like it's indeed going to be, Hunter is going to hang on, save enough fuel, and Hunter will be your race winner here at Barber. Hunter wins the race, after getting chased down by Hannah. Ooh, Hannah's got to be frustrated. Could see it in her sights, the back-to-back, but Hunter is going to hang on and win the race. Heartbreak for Andrew. Ends up finishing a second back from Kyle. Led the race from basically the drop of the green flag through to that last pit cycle, but was not able to save enough fuel. Being out in the lead, burned more fuel than anybody else. And, comes away with a top 5, but you know he's got to be mad. Here is what your results will look like for round number 5 at Barber Motorsports Park. Hunter is going to pick up the win, barely staying out of Hannah's reach there at the end, and preventing her from becoming the first back-to-back winner in the series. Down a little bit, you see Andrew comes home 5th after dominating 90% of the race, but having to make a late pit stop. You can see there at the bottom the bonus points that were awarded for the race. Thomas gets 1 point for pole despite struggling in the race, especially during that first stint. John set the fastest lap of the race on the second to last lap, and Andrew easily gets the most laps led. Leaving Barber, we have a new leader in the championship with Samantha topping the charts. Myro, who came in with a 1-point lead, drops to 5th, but is only 20 points back. The fight for the title is still very close, but you can see that the second half of the field's hopes for the title are slipping away. The max amount of ground that you can make up in a single race is 50 points. However, that would take starting on pole, setting the fastest lap, and leading the most laps in the race while the other person finishes 25th or worse. You can see on the schedule, the next race is going to be at the IMS road course in Indy to start off the beginning of our quote-unquote month of May, with following the road course being the Indy 500. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you at the next race.